sure moved. Here we go. Ready? I think they can hear me.
This is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and you are listening to Potsy and Tino on the Potsy and Tino Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pots and Pans Network brings to you its tag team champions of the world. Man, we are the longest running tag team champions of the world like ever, aren't we?
How long have we been doing this?
I don't know, like 3 years now?
Yeah.
So,
Longer than Road Dog.
so with that, our theme song, as you just heard, is brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for 99 cents. And the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, thank you so much for that nice little intro to the show tonight. Tino, we are live. In living color. I don't know about living color, but
we're live.
We are live.
And we're living.
We are living.
So, and we're in color.
Yeah, I could probably change that though. I could probably take the color. We'd probably never get it back if I took it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
So, as always, folks, welcome to the show. This is Tino. I'm Potsy, the Potsy and Tino Show. We always like to start with a nice little segment. It's already up on the screen.
What's up with you?
What's up with you? So, Tino, what's up with you?
Not so much what's up with me is Nicole. Nicole got the first of the COVID shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so apparently, if you've had COVID, it'll bring some of those symptoms back to you. You know, because it's not like
and she had it bad.
Yes. So she got it Thursday. It's a Thursday morning, and then Thursday evening she was like, "Oh, it's tired." She was tired. It's like, all right, cool. We thought, it's just one of the side effects. She went to work Friday, and I worked from home Friday. And about 11, I get a text. I'm coming home at 12:30. I feel bad. And where she got the shot, it is swollen up. It was a big red mark, and it is swollen. So this weekend, not only was she tired, she had 100-degree fever for like a day and a half, and then she had the muscle aches, and then she was just tired. So pretty much Friday night, she I think Haley happened to come home. So I gave her dinner, and she pretty much had dinner in bed, and Haley and I chilled and watched a movie in the living room. Then Nicole, pretty much we lounged all day Saturday because she wasn't feeling good. So Sunday she finally started feeling a little better, and we went to Costco and did some grocery shopping. She goes, I'm feeling much better. I'm like, no, you're not. You sure? No, I am, because I know how she is. She'll try to push herself because she feels bad because she's been laid out all weekend and she wants to. Oh. I'm like, okay, let's go to Costco. We went to Costco. We were there about an hour, 45 minutes. We got in the car. She's like, I just want to go home on the couch. I'm like, I know. So
I think we all get like that though, where for example, a long time ago when I was working at GameStop, actually no, it might have been before GameStop. It might have been when I was working at when I was working at Best Buy. I started getting migraines real bad, and I ended up going to the hospital and they did a lumbar puncture and everything on me. Yeah, it wasn't fun. In fact, the story of that is that when I got to the hospital, they had no hospital beds, right? Mm-hmm. So they put me underneath a giant speaker, and I had a migraine.
Yes.
So that's the worst spot to possibly be. So long story short, they finally get me into a room and they start me on a morphine drip. So I'm just, sucking in morphine, because it's like a button you push and you just get as much of it as you want. I think every push is like $200 though. Because your insurance covers some of it, but you still got to pay whatever. But then the doctor comes in and I'm not moving or anything because I'm so doped up on morphine. The doctor comes in, he's like, hey, I need you to sign this waiver, and I'm like, a waiver for what? And my whole family's there with me, and I'm like, a waiver for what? And he's like, well, we're gonna do a lumbar puncture, and this is one of those things that if we put the needle in the wrong spot, you can die from it.
Oh, die? I thought it was paralyzed.
Well, paralyzation is also part of it. And I'm like, well, who's going to be doing the procedure? And he goes, oh, a third-year med student. And I'm like, no, I could die from this. I want a doctor. And he goes, Mr. Potchak, I'm going to be honest with you. I've been a doctor for like 35 years. I haven't done one of these in about 27 years. So would you rather the person that does one about 6 times a week do it, or would you?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And I was like, well, all right, I guess I'll. And then I actually asked him, can we trade it for a player to be named later?
Shut up.
No, I did, because I mean I'm doped up or whatever, so of course I'm sitting there getting snarky and everything else. But yeah, so lo and behold, I had a third-year med student do a procedure that I could be paralyzed or die from. Luckily, my heart surgery was not done by a three-year med student.
I hadn't done one of these in 50 years, so do you want me to do it, or just fresh out of med school, I'll crack open your ribs and go to your heart?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
But getting back to your point, I think, and the reason why I've been told this story was because you're out of work for like a week or whatever, and then and I was still having headaches. They weren't going away, and I finally just made the decision. It's time to go back to work. Like they're telling me, oh, you can stay out of work longer if you need to, and blah. And I'm like, I got to do something. Yeah, so I was like, I'll just go back to work. And I realize now, if I hadn't gone back to work, I would have never went back to that job. Like I would have either quit and or gotten fired. For although like that would have brought up some other stuff there.
Lawsuit.
We got people in there.
No, I was trying to figure out why it's well, at least on my screen, it's got the
captions.
Yeah, I don't think I put that on there. Can somebody on there tell us?
Well, it's because the sound's off. So when your sound's off, Facebook puts up captions.
Oh, it does it automatically?
Yeah.
I don't like that, Facebook.
I like it a lot. All right, so Tino, before we get into anything else, I gave you a shot of Knob Creek smoked maple bourbon, and this is a very sweet
How come
finish.
You have more?
Because you won't want to drink this much.
Okay.
All right. So and I will do a shot and then I'll sip the rest.
That's good.
It's good stuff, isn't
That's
it?
Good.
I gave him an ice cube too this week so that it was a lot smoother for you.
That is smooth. I like that.
So that's about 45% alcohol right there.
I'll be here a while.
Yeah, no. You'll be fine by the time you go home from it. But
what was the other one you said? You don't want to drink this
one. So I also have Wild Turkey Rare Breed downstairs, and that one is 58.4%. Now I'm finding that a lot of these bourbons have like they're called mashes, or they're called single barrel, right? And that means that they haven't been diluted or anything else put in them. And a bunch of these things are like 66% alcohol. And we've all had like that little burn from brown liquor or whatever. I can't even imagine what 66% would burn like.
What's the other one taste like you got downstairs? Does that burn?
It does. It does. It tastes. I mean, it tastes good. Mm-hmm. It's a good Wild Turkey blend, but I mean, like it burns. Like you could, and I think what people do with it is they put it in with an ice cube, and then they let the ice cube melt about halfway, and that's when they drink it, because that will dilute some of it, because you'll have the water in it at that point. I think that's really what that one's set up for, but I don't know. I like it, and you could tell. I mean, the bottle's almost empty, but it's because I'm sitting there pouring other stuff into it. And what I do is I'll have like one of that I'll sip on for a while, and then I'll drink like a seltzer or whatever to go with it. So I finally found a good seltzer too. By the way.
Okay, what you got?
So, and I don't have it here because we drank them over at my sister's house this weekend. Vizzy, okay, they're antioxidant infused seltzers, but they are full flavored drinks.
So, I don't like seltzers because it tastes like carbonation. That's why I can't.
Well, it just tastes like tastes like seltzer water, right? Yeah. So Vizzy's, like we got, I could tell you, I could look it up and find out which ones we actually drank.
How you doing, Michael? Michael Turner said, "Hey guys, what's up?"
Michael Turner, what is going on, man? Sorry, there aren't any conventions. I found out today that San Diego Comic-Con has been postponed till 2022. So I won't even be making my semi-annual trek out to San Diego this year, Tino. It's probably a good thing because I will say this: the good news of it is that as long as Keen Spot gets approved for their panel, I've already been approved to be the Keen Spot host for the panel again. So that'll be 5 years in a row.
Wow.
As the Keen Spot panel host, which I'm pretty excited about.
That's awesome.
Last year I thought we did pretty darn well for something that was slapped together pretty quickly and me doing Zoom meetings with a bunch of the other talent.
I need to go out to one of these Comic Cons with you one year just to see.
You do, man. I'll tell you. San Diego Comic. So I'll explain it like this. San Diego Comic Con is like going to Disney World.
Okay.
Okay, but it's all indoors, and it's hurry up and wait, just like it is at Disney World. You know, you got to run to get in line, right? And that's what you do at San Diego Comic Con. It's hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait. And it's become less of a Comic Con and more of a pop culture fest, which is fine. It's just it means that now you have 150,000 people in there a day, you know, and I think that when conventions really come back full force, and like South Carolina's been doing conventions like they did Captain's Comics Comic Con this past like 2 weeks ago. But the thing about it is like I don't think you're gonna see them allow the same amount of people going forward.
No.
You know, and even after we've got the 75% of people vaccinated and everything else, so you've got the herd vaccination and herd immunity, or herd immunity on it. I think that like they're just going to limit the amount of people. They may charge more to get in, but I think that you're going to see that they're going to start limiting it, and I think they need to, man. Like when you go to San Diego Comic-Con, if you just happen to be walking anywhere near where Hall H is going to be letting out, and that's where they do all the Marvel panels and everything else, if they open that door, you are literally in a river of people. And if you're trying to go that way and the herd is going that way, you're going that way. Like you're gonna try to move to the edge so that you can get. But it's just
Keep swinging.
It's just like when you're it's just like when you're in a kayak and you're going against the water.
Yeah.
There's just no freaking way to do it. Michael, say anything else?
Yeah, he said it's all good here. He said it's all good, man. All good here.
Well, I am glad to hear that, man. I hope at some point I get to go to a comic shop that you were at, and we get to hang out a little bit. Michael's a great dude. So Nicole had that whole thing where
so that's just the first shot. She's still gonna take the second shot in a couple of weeks.
And I heard the second one is harder to take. Like my mom felt ill for 2 days after that one. Her first one she was okay, but the second one she said she needed to take a day off from work, and my mom never takes a day off from work.
Reminds me, while we're early in the show, next week it'll be and I forgot to tell you off air, so I'm telling you now. It's going to be our special Tuesday edition because I got to stay at my mom again next Monday for her XI surgery. So letting you guys know a week early.
So as we have other people join the show, Katie or Chris Barrett or anybody else, we'll repeat that so that everybody knows. Tuesday next week we will be doing our show.
And that should be it. She don't have 2 eyes, so that's it. So that's it.
So it's not like my sister's dog.
No.
Did I tell that story on that?
No.
So okay, so my sister Michelle, Shorty.
Which one?
Shorty.
No, which dog?
Oh, well, both of them. They went to the vet for their teeth cleaning. Okay.
Which one is the one that barks and growls at me all the time?
Well, that's Flynn.
He don't like black.
No, he doesn't like black. He is a very racist dog. Everybody actually says it. But so was Artie. My old dog Artie was.
No, but Artie was cool with me. Artie was sit on the couch.
I think he did it just to fuck with you.
Yeah.
I think he was like, this dude thinks I'm racist.
But it would be funny though. It would be funny if he's sitting. That's still my favorite
go ahead and
story.
Tell the story. Tell
That's still my favorite story. So we're sitting there watching wrestling. So what was Artie? Artie was a
Artie was a boxer pit bull mix.
Yeah. So this dog always barked and growled at me. I was like, dude, this dog does not like me. But then he would come and sit right there and just look at me. Or he'd sit on the couch next to me right here and just stare at me. And I looked at him, he'd run away.
And his head was like,
and he'd be like big. Right here, and I'm like, this dog's gonna bite my face off. And I just look at him, he'd run away. So one day we're watching TV. We were watching wrestling.
We were probably watching it.
And he's leaning against me. And I'm like, oh, all right. So I'm petting him.
And he's cool with it.
He's cool with it. But at some point, what did he do? He kind of like
looked at you
to see he was petting him, and he was like, whoa, whoa.
And well, hold on. He was like this. He was like, and then he was like, and then he hopped up off the. I mean, an 80-pound dog.
Oh my God!
An 80-pound dog would jump like. And he did it to Shavar too. Like dude, all of a sudden, like
we just laughed so hard because that was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he was one of the coolest dogs.
I love that.
He was such a dumbass.
He was.
So
him and Landis. I love Landis.
Landis wasn't stupid.
No, but I don't think he liked me that. I don't think she liked me that much either.
She loved everybody. She just remember, she stopped barking for like 7 years.
That's right.
Because it wasn't until like 6 months before, unfortunately, I had to put her down. That all of a sudden I had at my old apartment, I had this really weird shit happen where like the woman that lived upstairs always thought I was making noise even though I wasn't there, and turns out like she had in her bathroom, which was directly above my bathroom, her entire shower area had like molded out. Right, so like somehow it sunk behind like the shower and it was seeping down and settling underneath hers. So I would look up and I would see like black mold up there.
Oh,
and that's terrible. That's horrible shit. And so I would spray it with bleach or whatever, and I would contact the home office, and they would send somebody in, and they're like, yeah, we don't know what's going on. I'm like, well, maybe you need to go upstairs. Turns out they send somebody into her place, and it's molded so bad that at some point her entire bathtub could have fallen into my apartment. And I'm not kidding, folks. Like, this is what I was legitimately told. You got lucky that we finally went up there and did. And I'm like,
you got lucky.
I'm like, yeah, you got lucky. Like,
if I'd been in a shower and a fucking tub filling on me,
dude, I would die.
Yeah,
I would be dead, right? So during that whole thing, they send somebody into my apartment, and guy's walking around, he's looking at everything, he's like scraping little pieces off to see like how bad it is. And it wasn't bad in my apartment or anything, but it was like, I mean, like right above the bathroom was terrible. And they were actually telling me, we might have to have you like move into another apartment for a couple weeks so that way we can fit. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just moving out, right? But during that whole thing, Landis hadn't barked in years. The entire time I lived in that apartment, I don't think she barked once. And Paleo Junkie says, that's terrifying. Holy crap. Yeah. You are not wrong. Like, now that I think back, there are so many things in my life that could have killed me. And this one wasn't one that I did to myself. Yeah. So this guy walks into the apartment, he's looking at everything, he's checking everything out, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Landis, who's probably blind and deaf at this point, she was 13 when I put her down, and I know she was deaf, but she might have been blind at this point too. All of a sudden, she just out of nowhere, Dark! And I'm like, the fuck was that? like I don't even remember that sound, right? And then it's Dark! 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 And she's walking around the apartment like just, and she was she looked like a bulldog even though she was a pug, but she was only 22 pounds. I mean, she wasn't super heavy for a pug. She was heavy, but she wasn't super heavy for a pug. She almost never ate anything, so it wasn't like she could lose any weight without moving. But she was walking around. She's arch, and and I'm sitting there going, Landis, shut up.
She can't hear you.
She can't hear me. She can't hear me, so she doesn't even know she's doing it, right? And she's going everywhere the guy went in the apartment. So the guy changed out the air filters. She went up to the air filters. And then go up to the next air filter. 2.5 hours later, and here's the best part.
Dude's been gone.
She's sitting, dude was gone the whole time. And she's like, and every like third arch that she does, she's like, huh? Like
scared herself.
She's scared. myself off guard. Like, what was that? I kind of heard something. What is that?
That makes me laugh because our little black dog, our little one that we have, the little Chihuahua, Jack Russell. Well, she's born in '06, so she's gonna be that's 15. So so I think she is deaf too. So she'll sleeping in her bed the other day. That's why I laughed when you said he jumped, because she's laying there. I'm in the kitchen washing dishes, and this bitch farts. She's sleeping. And she jumps up and looks. I'm like, bitch, that was you.
My mom used to have this dog named Tootsie. Okay, Tootsie was she was a black Beagle Labrador mix.
Mm-hmm.
Now the scary thing was that the Beagle was the mom.
Beagle Labrador. Woo.
So it was a big ass dog that got on top. It
You ain't going nowhere.
held it down.
You ain't going nowhere.
So, but she was a black Labrador.
And he pumps.
Tony Baker.
Get
Some of these pumps. Get some of these pumps. I love those videos, man. Not as much as that cat one I sent you that you had to post after that.
Which one?
The one where the cat like looks in the window and he's like, "Hey Sylvester, why don't you come out here so I can give you some I can give you some of this
skibbity paps."
And then he's like, I don't want to come out there and get no skibbity paps. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, you gotta help me, man.
He fell. He disappeared. Like, oh.
He disappeared. He's like, oh, you gotta help me. You gotta help me get in there. And then he comes back up and he goes like out of nowhere, just pop right.
Why? And he's got your human friends in there filming.
No. He goes. Why didn't you help me, Sylvester? Didn't you hear that I was hurting out here, Sylvester?
Tony Baker, man.
Yeah, he.
Oh my God.
What's the hemoglobin and haberdashery hemoglobin?
Haberdashery hemoglobin. What's going on here? My baby's like, I never knew.
The best. So anybody that doesn't know, if you follow Tony Baker on Instagram,
well, I started following him on YouTube. I've been Tony Baker for years, man.
Well, I follow him on Instagram because it's like a 10-second thing. But we have a 12-year-old border collie, and we 100% have to be careful about when
we take on walks because he legit
hop out of the car.
Damn! It's like, I'm here.
Super sweet old boy though, runs like he's still a puppy. And if you make sure that you give your dog what's it chondroitin and whatever it is that's good for the joints.
I don't know, but that little 15-year-old one, she runs right now.
I think it's as long as you don't let them get fat, the dog's muscles stay good.
She can't jump like she used to. She used to be jumping like on the couch, so we have to kind of help her. Sometimes she can. Sometimes she'll go to jump and they go to jump and hit the neck on the side of the couch. And hit the floor. You're like, oh, okay, you need help.
Paleo, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do.
Subscribe.
So my other sister, Carrie Ann, I don't even know if you've ever met her.
I have. You had to get together. I met all of them.
Oh yeah.
And you had the kids were there. Your mom and dad was like.
Oh yeah, July 4th. Yeah. So I mentioned.
She's a redhead. That's why I look at Shorty like, why?
Right. Yeah. Why is she? Well, Dave's not ginger either, though.
That's true.
Although he looks.
But your niece and nephew, I'm like, good God. They are.
Well, no. Neither of my nephews are redheaded.
Maybe it's the girls.
Both of the girls are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, both of the girls are 100%. Yeah, we've got arthritis meds for him. Yeah, exactly. But
my sister Carrie.
So Carrie Ann actually sat there and sent me a picture yesterday because I had mentioned at her son's birthday party that now that I work from home, maybe it's time to get a dog.
Oh shit.
And she's like, well, what kind of dog do you want?
Finn.
What?
You want Finn?
No, I don't. Flynn, you mean?
Shorty's can give you Flynn.
No, they won't ever give those dogs away. Are you kidding? But so I'm like, well, I'll probably stick with another small breed, like a pug or a Boston and yesterday, lo and behold, she sends me a picture right here in North Carolina. There's somebody that says, our family's getting bigger. We're hoping to find a nice home for our 2.5-year-old pug.
Oh.
And he's cute. I mean, he's real cute. But then the price tag is $950.
What?
Now, full-blooded pugs, if you get the AKC paperwork on them, full-blood pugs are $2,500 easy.
But
you
it's
know,
like 2 years old. It's kind of like, that's a used
well,
car.
it's a used car, but it's also potty trained.
Oh, well, okay.
You know what I mean? So, but it doesn't say potty trained. Doesn't say nose tricks. Doesn't like leaves people low. Is angry all the time. It doesn't say anything about like what the demeanor. Although the dog looks, like I said, dog looks cute and everything else. The one thing I did notice from the pictures is that the dog likes to do that left leg lean under the other leg when it's sitting. You know, because pugs are very casual dogs. They just like, like, and but the problem is that as they get older, that means hip problems because they don't sit upright like all other kinds of dogs.
Did Landis?
She did for a long time, and then all of a sudden she was like, "I'm just gonna kick this one over here."
Oh.
And if you remember, she had really bad hips by the time she passed. But she also used to do this thing, and I'm sorry, folks, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. She used to do this thing where, like, as she got older, we had to keep changing her dog food. And I say we, but it was me. I had to keep changing her dog food. And it got to the point where I gave her the old dog food. Well, apparently this stuff is like cardboard. Like there's nothing in it at that point. So when the dog takes a crap,
it's cardboard.
It's like you can just pick it up and throw it away. Like there's no smell or anything to it. Like sometimes she would fart and it'd be bad, but like she would walk around the house. She wouldn't even get into the shit position anymore, and one would just boop and pop out. My mom, whenever she would watch her, she'd be like, "Yep, Landis dropped me a present."
Incoming fax.
No, and it's not even, and the dog doesn't even look back to see it. Like she's just walking, and all of a sudden, it's just, boom, just fall out. Boom. Now, when she would go outside, she'd be like, and she'd try to shit or whatever, and sometimes she would, sometimes she would, but
it sort of came out.
And my pug Landis, like I will say right now, the greatest dog ever, was amazing around kids. Like my nephew would pull her tail, and like she wouldn't do anything. Most of like she just, all right, you done? Okay. No, I'm kidding. But like she was great around all the kids. They'd sit there and smack her in the head and everything, and she would never do anything. Like she was a lot like a cat. When she wanted attention, she would come up to you, she'd get attention, but then she'd just sit on the top of the couch for the rest of the day, and that was like her spot until she couldn't get up there anymore. And then you had to pick her up and put her wherever she wanted to go, which is just like a cat, yes. Right? So I had to tell my sister, I'm like, listen, one, I don't have $1,000 for a dog. I mean, do I?
Yes.
Yeah, but I haven't even, I just moved into this house like 5 months ago. Damn. So I haven't even established that like I'm 100% cool with paying all my bills on, like I'm paying them on time and everything else, but making sure that I've got enough money to live and eat and, have some fun, do whatever, and I'm going to Disney next month in April. So, I mean, I don't.
Why are you going already?
Because Michelle asked if I wanted to go. We're going to go down and play some golf.
Okay. It's usually this early. Usually in like October.
We do like to go in October. They want to, so they have annual passes, and their annual passes run out before October. So they want to use them so that they can see like the special flower arrangement and stuff that they do for springtime.
Are they going to re-up them or no?
No, probably not.
Oh.
Probably not. They'll do what everyone else does, which is just order tickets for when they want to go. Because who knows whether or not an annual pass at Disney is going to be worth it anymore. If they're charging the same exact amount of money, and then you can't go park to park, you can't go in a water park and then a park the same day. Like they're really, and it's all because of.
That's some BS.
Well, I mean, when I went, I had ordered the park hopper pass, and all I had to do was go into the area that customer services, and they refunded back to my account all the other money. Mm-hmm. So like I didn't have to have the park hopper at that point because they weren't letting you. But a lot of people don't know that, so I don't know. So Tino, anything else happening with you? You got any shows?
Not this week. Next week, I don't know yet. I don't think I have anything in the next couple of weeks.
So for those that haven't taken a look at my Instagram, I'll go ahead and say I've been doing these sketch and sips. Where I just grab my 9x12 sketch pad and start doodling comic characters and stuff. And the past couple weeks, I've had some pretty good ones. Do you live close to Disneyland, like North? No. So Paleo, we live in North Carolina.
So we go to Florida. So what's Disney?
Disney World. Disney World. Yeah. Now I have been out to Anaheim multiple times, and almost every time I stay within 20 minutes of Disney World, and yet I've never or Disneyland, and I've never been.
I've never been to Disneyland. I've been to Disney World a few times.
Yeah. And Disneyland has some things that I do want to try. I want to try the escape from whatever tower it is now that they've converted the Hollywood Tower into the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. Although they're supposed to put the Guardians of the Galaxy ride at Disney World at some point, they just haven't done it yet. And their rumor is that they're not even going to do it with the Hollywood Tower that is, the Twilight Zone.
Oh, okay.
Which we absolutely love. So so in fact, I was talking about how WonderCon was supposed to happen this month not too long ago, and unfortunately WonderCon's already been canceled. And if it hadn't been canceled, I was going to try to go to that show again, because that was a very good show for the comics that I've created in the past. And you're literally like 10 minutes away from Disneyland, so you can like walk to at least like the downtown Disney area right from where you stay there. And there's a Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles right there, which is amazing. So a couple of my favorite restaurants are actually right there. They've got a Morton Steakhouse right there, which I like to frequent. They've got a Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles right there. So I mean, like, lots of places that are good to eat. There's also a pizza place that was really good because it also had like tons of craft beers. Anyways.
Oh yeah, here I think is Six Flags. Where are you?
Yeah, where are you at?
Six Flags in Georgia. There's no
Ohio. New Jersey.
Con's closing.
Yeah, we all understand why the convention circuit is kind of shut down. Like I said, some of them are starting to happen again, and I just don't think they're safe enough yet. Like, I mean, I'll sell masks and stuff at the show. I don't care, it's one of those things where I just, right now I'm more worried that, like, you already get the con crud.
Yeah.
If you ever go to a convention for 2 or 3 days, the only one that I didn't get con crud at was most recently was 2 years ago when I did Carolina Fear Fest, and it's because it's right in Raleigh, so all the germs are already here.
Okay.
Like I shouldn't get anything else from that. But by the end of that show, I couldn't talk. Like,
because you talk so much, though, probably to people.
Yes, thank you, because I know that's what you meant by it.
What's up with you, fool? So we get rolling.
So what's up with me? Anybody that hasn't already, Missouri. Okay.
Right.
Okay, so like St. Louis.
So we're reaching out there.
Yeah, all right. So what's up with me? I told you earlier today I worked some overtime at work. I right now I've got this awesome task of, and I don't even know if I'm really allowed to say it. I'm blacking out files, kind of like the government does.
Redacting.
Yeah, I'm redacting files. It's pretty awesome, actually. Like the person that was like, hey, do you want to help out with this? It's really boring work. I'm sitting there like, I'm a government agent now. I'm sitting here like redacting out stuff, and it's
like it's boring. You're like,
yeah, I'm like, it's going to explode in 13 seconds. It's like, okay, cool. So I did that, and like I said, I actually worked overtime today for it, which is kind of nice. The book, Junior High Horrors, Volume 1, Freaks and Geeks, in stores in July. Tino says he ordered a copy. Finally. No, seriously, thank you, sir. Available on Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, wherever books are sold.
Wherever books are sold.
Wherever, and you know, it's nice getting to say that. You know, in fact, Bleeding Cool, one of the leading comic book websites out there, actually posted today that more and more publishers are going to Simon and Schuster. I think they got it wrong. Simon and Schuster is allowing contracts with more and more comic book companies because their distribution level's so big.
Yeah.
So they reach out to you and say, hey, we want to carry your books. And what's really cool about that is Keen Spot was actually mentioned in the article. You know, yeah. So I even posted that to the publisher. I was like, hey, good look at you, look at you. Yeah, exactly. But anybody who hasn't checked it out, go to Amazon.com or wherever you buy your books, and please order a copy. 5-star review it if you've picked up any of our comics in the past. On top of that, I'll go ahead and say right now, Junior High Horrors Return of the Walking Flu.
Okay.
Officially got the covers in this week.
Nice.
Should have the script finished for the book in just a couple days. It's turning out pretty well.
Nice.
I actually did throw in a segment where the kids actually have to learn from home. So, you know, I wrote the solicitation for it today, and one of the things that I put was, this is an obvious parody of The Walking Dead. And in fact, I started with the sequel to the book that Robert Kirkman may have called awesome, because Robert Kirkman said that I could say that he may have called it awesome.
Okay.
Is here, and both an obvious parody to The Walking Dead and real life. So Tino's actually heard a couple of the jokes. He's actually heard a cut joke from the book. I won't repeat it here because it's been cut from the story. But
shit ain't funny. That's a quote from my wife.
Yes.
Shit ain't funny.
Well, she didn't even like the second joke until I explained it. And then she's
funny.
like,
"Okay, that's funny."
She's like, "Oh, it's got a monkey shitting. Oh, that's funny."
That's my wife.
But yeah, so that is officially on the books and coming out in July, just like the new book is. So we're hoping to have some tie-in advertising and stuff. Yeah, and that's really it with the comics right now. Like I said, if anybody wants to or can, we'd really like to get back to the #1 spot on Amazon for teen fiction about a teen. Upcoming releases, and Junior High Horrors was #1 for an entire week.
Yep.
For an entire week
Where are you
on
now?
there. #3.
That's still not
So
bad.
so we're at #3 right now. The difference though is that when you see we showed it last week on the show, when you see it as a #1, it actually has a little thing on it that says #1 new release.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're #3, it doesn't say #3 new release. They just take that away, and it's like. And I gotta tell you, Tino, and you already know this, but like, I'm one of those people who's very obsessive compulsive about certain things. And when we got the #1 on that, what did I do?
You told everybody.
It's
all over Facebook. It's all over your Insta. We kept putting up there in the show.
We kept putting it up on the show. But it's because.
That's awesome, dude.
It's because it's
awesome.
amazing,
Yes.
you know, like how hard have I worked to try to push this book? I mean, you may still be able to find a copy of Junior High Horror Strangest Things in your local comic shop right now.
I doubt it though, because those things probably about sold out too.
Most places have sold out. In fact, you know, most of the stuff that we've heard about it is that people ordered more copies than they normally do, and they sold out of all of them. So I'm extremely proud of the book. It's the first ever dyslexia-friendly comic out there. You know, so it's one of those things where, like, I'm very proud of what I've done. I'm very proud of Eric, the artist, all the people that have ever contributed covers, Sean Beck, Billy Parker, everybody else. But, you know, like, it's one of those things where, like, the bookstore edition could be what sends this, like, to the next level, right?
Yeah.
The comic books are awesome. They're a lot of fun. You know, there's always a joke that has somebody sitting there giggling about, you know, that there was an entire issue about farts.
Yeah.
You know, so it just is what it is. But that's really what's up with me, man. Like not too much. I thought you wanted me to tell a GameStop story.
I do. Let's do it.
Well, I don't have a graphic for the GameStop story yet, so it's gonna have to stick with the what's up with you.
Oh,
Or you know, I could I could always throw this one up there. Support the show. Buy a T-shirt.
Yes.
Des Desolate in the house. What is going on?
What is it?
It's little hype little emojis. He's got little hype emojis in there. That's awesome. We don't know how to do that. We're old.
Damn.
Oh, well, we are. Hell, you don't even know what like social media we're on right now.
Yes, I do.
Oh yeah, which ones?
We're on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook.
Are we on any others? Did I not tell you?
Those are the 3 you told me.
That's true. That's true. Those are the 3 that we're on. So I was gonna say Patsy's asking the tough questions, but no, he's not asking the tough questions. Buy a T-shirt.
Yeah. GameStop story.
If you can help out, buy a T-shirt. So GameStop story, Tino, a story that I very infrequently ever told.
Oh, here we go.
The story of how I got hired.
Oh, all right. I hadn't heard this one.
Yeah, it's 15 years ago.
Oh, so you got 15 years of GameStop stories. You're like, I don't know one, and then you just rattle off one.
No, I was thinking about this one. In fact, this probably should have been the first one that I ever told, right?
Okay.
So,
True.
So I was working at AT&T Wireless, and I put in I hadn't put in my notice yet because I'm not one of those people that would ever put in their notice without having another job lined up.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like I know people that do.
No, hell no.
I don't know how you do it. But so I interview with a guy, and I'm not gonna say his name, but
Okay.
most of if I called him Urkel, most people would know who I'm talking about. Okay. And he throughout the interview process said to me multiple times, we can't pay you what you're making.
So were you making more at AT&T?
I was technically, because when you put in, hey, this is how much I made last year, they're sitting there looking at it going, man, this guy made some good money.
Gotcha.
But the thing is that it became Suncom Wireless in North Carolina, and then took away all the commissions.
Okay.
Not all of them, but I mean, it went from like some months $2,000 commission checks to like $200 commission checks, and my hourly didn't change. So I did the math, and I said, this is what I'm willing to do. Like, this is what I'm willing to accept. I was married at the time. My ex-wife now was a bartender. I was like, okay, we make okay money. We can pay all of our bills. I can take a little bit of a pay cut as long as I think that it's going to be someplace that I'll be happier and it'll do better in the long run, right? So Urkel kept saying to me, we can't pay you what you're making. He said it 3 times in the interview process.
Yes, Steven.
So you know what I said to him? I was like, are you telling me you're not offering me the job, or are you offering me the job? Because if you're offering me the job, I'm interested. Well, we can't pay you what you make.
Oh, God.
Okay, that's enough of that, right? So finally, like I don't hear from him for like a week. So I call him, and I'm like, hey, I just wanted to know, like,
what's up?
What's up with the job, right? And he's like, oh, we're trying to set you up an interview with the regional manager, and when we do, we'll let you know. And I'm like, okay, so am I still in the run? Like, seriously, tell me. Like, if not, I'm gonna go start looking at like Target, Walmart, whatever, just to get out of AT&T. And I get a phone call, and it's him saying, hey, we want to set you up an interview with the regional manager. And I was like, okay, cool, no problem, whatever.
So were you going in as was into a management position, or are you going in as just a
store manager trainee?
So okay.
So I would be trained to be a store manager, and long ago, GameStop had this very interesting way of doing that. When you got brought in as a store manager in training, if you didn't get a store in 30 days, they let you go.
Oh crap! How's that your fault?
Well, because like you got to be good, right? No, I don't know what the deal was. Within 3 weeks, I had a store, but like during the interview process, they were like, well, why do you want to work at GameStop? And I said, well, I worked at GameStop as a assistant manager, and I worked at EB Games. I I worked as a assistant manager and and even a seasonal hire the year before, like 2 years before that. And I was like, and honestly, it was the most fun I ever had a job. And they were like, oh, okay, okay. So they set up the interview with me for the regional manager, but they set it up while I got a golf outing. So I call out sick to it, right? Call out sick to my interview for the job that I said that I really want. And they said, well, what if we do it over the phone? And I'm like, okay, as long as you guys don't mind me stopping every so often so that I can either like cough or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, no problem, whatever. So I took the job interview on the golf course, driving the golf cart around, swinging the golf clubs, and would be like, hey, hold on a second, I'm gonna mute you for just a second. And I would go up and I'd swing my golf club.
So you were telling GameStop you were sick.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was telling GameStop I was sick on my day off, and I'd already set up golf plans. So I was out playing golf, and I was also a couple of these, and like after I got done the interview process, I was like, "There's no way they're hiring me. There's no way." Under any circumstance, GameStop is ever gonna hire me now. I got a phone call later that day, and they were like, "Hey, we're really interested. Can you go ahead and do the drug test?" Yeah, I can do a drug test.
I'm drunk.
I was like,
I was gonna do a breathalyzer.
No, they were like, "We'll email you the form and whatever, or you can come into one of the stores, pick up the form, and and then I went ahead and did the drug test and everything, and got hired. But the other thing that made it funny.
You were drunk and playing golf.
I was drunk and playing. Well, I don't know how drunk I was because it was early, so I wasn't. But I was definitely like pulling on a beer while I was doing the interview.
Who are you golfing with?
God, that's a good question.
Oh,
it wasn't.
Shane.
No, it wasn't Shane.
No.
No, it was probably my buddy Dominic, my buddy Chris, or my buddy Mark.
Oh,
so one of those three guys. But yeah, we were out. It might have been Chris Edge too. I don't know. But no, I didn't know Chris Edge before I worked at GameStop. I actually met him at GameStop. But interestingly enough, yeah, and something ended up happening which caused a real issue with after all that, about 5 years down the road. So the guy that hired me ended up not being my district manager. They ended up hiring me, and they moved districts or whatever around, and I ended up working for a guy named Kevin who you got to do what you got to do. I'll tell you right now, I think that the best interview I ever had was pretty.
Did you hire me for the shop?
No. The best interview I ever had.
Oh, okay.
And it was one of the coolest experiences ever. Was that a place downtown Raleigh? They took everybody who made it past like the resume screening to a bar, and they gave you cards with your names on it. You put your name tag on, and you would be allowed to drink for about an hour and a half, right? And it was to loosen you up, to see how outgoing you were. And,
oh shit!
And I'd be fine with that, right? Yeah. I could be completely sober and be fine with it. But it was such a cool experience because like the whole idea was you would then have to schmooze your way in, talk to the heads of the departments, and give them the cards that they gave you. And if they put it in one pocket, it meant that you were going to get a call. If they put it in the other pocket, it meant you weren't. And then depending on how many of those pockets they went into that were, the good pocket versus the bad pocket, determined whether or not you were going to call back. And
I mean, did you get a lot in the good pocket?
I mean, I got a call back.
Which show was that?
Citrix.
That's awesome.
So yeah, Citrix called me back, and the reason why I didn't take that job, because I did a second interview where they brought everybody that passed the first interview into a little glass room basically, and this was like a week later. You go into the glass room, you're sitting there, and everybody's staring at each other like 12 Angry Men kind of thing, where you're like, well, who's the snitch? Mm-hmm. Who's the one that's and I just start bullshitting with everybody, and then they're like, all right, what we want you to do now is for about half an hour, we want you to take calls. Because it was all like taking calls and trying to get people to order the product. So after that, I'm like, oh, there's no way I got this. I couldn't get anybody to buy anything because I don't know shit about the product, right? Well, it turns out, just because I got one of the people to talk to me for like 10 minutes on the phone, they were like, you got what it takes. And they wanted to hire me. Reason why I didn't take that job, and this was probably year 9 or 10 of my GameStop run, the reason why I didn't take the job was because they were like, we want you to start in 2 days. And I was like, well, I can't do that. I got to give 2 weeks notice.
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, we can't give you 2 weeks. We can give you till Monday. It was like Thursday. And I'm like, it's because fast moving work environment, everything else, they want to see how interested you really are. And I'm like, guys, if you can't give me 2 weeks, that means that you don't respect where I work, and it means that you really don't respect me because you're expecting me to quit without 2 weeks notice as well. And they were like, well, good luck to you.
Oh, damn.
And I was like, damn.
Damn. I thought they were going to be like, okay. Nope.
No, they liked the answers. Didn't like the fact that I wasn't ready to just jump at the opportunity. And I think a lot of the people that were working that would end up working there were people right out of college who didn't have a job already, and whatever else the case might be. But for someone like me, I'm sitting there and I'm like, sorry, man, like I value loyalty.
Yes.
That it might not value me wherever I work, but and in fact, I think my new job does. I think that they extremely value it.
Oh yeah.
But your job probably values it. But I can tell you a place that I used to work that does not value loyalty. In fact, I can tell you two. I can tell you that GameStop doesn't value your loyalty. Unfortunately, your managers might, your district manager might, but the company, you're a number. And Best Buy is the same way. I while I was in the process of interviewing a long time ago, just because, and this is something I'll tell everybody. I keep getting asked, and this is by people that I've known for a long time, how did you do it? How did you finally get out? Out of GameStop. No, out of GameStop. And it's funny that, we haven't even started talking about what we normally talk about, right?
Oh, we will in a minute, Katie. You came too late, baby.
No. She's fine. We're going to talk about this for a little while longer. But like, everybody asks me, what's your resume look like? What's this look like? I mean, I tell everybody I don't have a 4-year degree. I don't. I didn't finish college. Right. And yet I've got a job right now where
making more money than me.
I mean, I'm making decent money.
Yes, you are.
And I'm working my ass off. Don't get me wrong. Like I've got that work ethic and everything. And let's be real. Just because I don't have the piece of paper that says I have a 4-year degree does not mean that I am not a smart person. You know what I mean?
A lot of people around here without 4-year degree, they're highly intelligent and are making the big bucks. It's all right, Katie. I was giving you a hard time.
Katie, I understand the long day. I actually worked 2 hours overtime tonight, so or about an hour and 45 minutes, but regardless. The biggest thing about it, though, is never stop interviewing. Take every interview you can get. And that's why when I took the Citrix interview, like after that, I was like, how do I incorporate some of that stuff without getting in trouble with it? She didn't work today.
Oh. Well, what did you do today, Miss Katie?
Well, if you want to talk to us after the show, Katie, we can set up some time just for a private session. No, it's completely okay. We won't let it derail the show. Though I would recommend highly listening in. If you just started when you first messaged us, I would tell you to go back and listen to about 10 minutes before that, because I told the story of my first being interviewed at GameStop.
That was funny.
And Tino said it was funny. So if you didn't get a chance to hear that, highly recommended. But I tell everybody, take every interview you can, because you've got to have that skill set there. You know, like I was living in a room at my brother-in-law and sister's house, and Shane would be working in the office right next to where I was sitting there taking interviews on my days off or whatever. And at one point, he sat there and he goes, Rob, I sent your resume off to our HR people, and they don't know anything about you have to have a 4-year degree to work here. So we're just in a hiring freeze. We're not hiring anybody. Blah blah blah. But I gave it to like the 2 people that are hiring managers that I know, and they both loved your resume. Then like I said, people ask all the time, hey, what's your resume look like? So I sent them my resume, and one of the things that I heard this past week was from one of the people that I worked with for probably 8 or 9 years without ever really working in close vicinity with him. He's like, man, your resume slaps. And I was like, I at least know what that means, but okay, cool, and part of that's because my resume now has my actual work experience, my philanthropy on it. So when I did things like the 24-hour comic day where I raised $700 for Make a Wish and all that stuff, it also has all my stuff of hosting panels at 4 different San Diego Comic Cons, running a booth at San Diego Comic Con. So fast paced, extremely fast paced, all that kind of stuff. But all that really matters, and I've said this to you all along, Tino, the entire time you've ever known me, I get 5 minutes with you where you're actually talking to me, you're gonna want to hire me. You might not have a job for me, but you're gonna want me. You're gonna want me working there. And then you just got to figure out where to put me, right?
Yeah.
And that's just it. It's because, like, even at this point, if someone were to say, "Hey, Rob, we want to interview you," okay, I'll do the interview. I'm completely happy where I'm at. I don't necessarily want to leave, but you meet the requirements of what would actually make me even happier. Why wouldn't I take it?
Yeah.
Like, why stop yourself? Why do any of that? Like you're happy where you're at.
Yep.
But yet, and you're happy where you're at because if I can be frank, you got a job that allowed you the opportunity to continue doing your shows. But then on top of that, you then found a job that was similar pay, but then you didn't have to work weekends.
Yep.
And it was
no holidays.
And it was, I'm gone. Like like I don't dislike you guys, but I'm gonna like this more.
Yep.
And when I left GameStop, one of the nicest things that my boss Eugene actually said to me was Rob, I didn't even try to keep you here, which would normally sound like kind of an asshole thing to do, right? But he said, it's because I know that when you said it's a Monday through Friday job and it's a set schedule, that it's going to let you do what you love.
Yep.
So why would I hold you back?
Yep.
And it's one of the nicest things that he ever said. Like people love him, hate him, whatever the case might be. I always respected the man. Always thought that he worked hard and that he was honest with me about stuff. So the fact that he said that, I actually truly believed it, and that's why I actually gave the extra week before I left the job, was because I showed my respect and my loyalty of, hey, I'm not going to leave you on your ass.
Yeah. Right
on the week of the Xbox, the PlayStation, and Call of Duty launch.
I remember that.
So it's take every interview you can, drive, just keep practicing. Like do as many interviews as you can. Listen to other people, because they're going to be answers that they give you that, like if you're in a management position at GameStop or wherever else. And Katie just said that Eugene truly is a good guy, and he is. It's funny when you have a conversation with your boss and you want to ask how his kids are.
Yeah.
Like when you feel that you have that much of a rapport with him where you can do that, it's kind of nice. And within 3 months, I have that with my new boss, which is awesome. Great. I was on a one-on-one with him for 2 hours on Friday. Now, luckily, I had 2 hours that I could actually speak to him. But the amazing thing about it was that, I've never met the man. Like, every conversation, everything was online, everything was over the phone. And now the company's talking about giving webcams and everything else to all the employees, because they're having... because people need to be paying more attention. Let's just put it that way, right? And now I was like, so Ray, does that mean that we're gonna have to be on camera for our one-on-ones? And he's like, Rob, it might not be a bad idea because I've never met you. And I was like, oh yeah, you haven't. Now for like 2 weeks before I got hired, I talked to the guy almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
Now I talk to him once a week. But you know, it is what it is. It's just like anybody that thinks that they can better themselves. I can tell you right now, you can. I had a long conversation with our friend Fubar the other night, where Fubar was like, you know, things are holding people back, and they're not. Like I told myself, I wasn't gonna leave for something the same or worse. I'm only gonna leave for something better, and I did. You know, like it may not end up being the right job for me in the long run. I might not end up liking it as much as I've liked other places, but I'm gonna work my ass off.
Yep.
I'm gonna earn my money, and I now work for a company that's. I'm not gonna say their slogan is this or anything, but there have been emails that have come in that say we pay for your performance.
Right.
You want to raise, be on the top end of the spectrum. You know, now at the same time, I also think that everyone is meets. They're not super exceeds or anything. You know, because if you meet your job, even at GameStop, I always loved that the annual review was always, you're terrible. You meet some of the things, but not all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
You meet everything and sometimes exceed. You always exceed. And then you walk on water. Right? Like, so whenever I would have to explain to people, like, here's your review. And I would go, now before I show it to you, I want to read these off to you. And I would read off and normally it was 1 to 5. Sometimes they would switch it and it'd be 5 to 1, whatever the case was. But I'd always go, okay, tell me which one, like before we even get into everything, I'm going to read these categories off. And I didn't read them in order on purpose. And I would say, which one do you think that you fit? And almost every time they'd be like, I sometimes meet, sometimes need help, and blah, blah, blah. So if it was a 5-point scale, they would be a 2.
3?
No, a 3 would be meets or sometimes exceeds.
Okay.
So the 2 is what everybody really deserved. The problem with that is that I was being real and honest with people, and then you'd go to a store that the manager would get fired 2 months later, and he's giving everybody like 4s and 5s because he's like, oh yeah, you totally met and exceeded your... And it's like, but did you though? So his people would get raises, and yet my people would be like, all right, nobody got raises this year because we all got the same grade. I got that grade, you guys got that grade. Now, those managers would end up seeing that their grade was needs improvement all along, and yet they'd still, like, because they were allowed to write the reviews for their employees, and the district manager or whatever wasn't ever looking at it going, no, that's not right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like that's where the subjective review process really sucks, because people that worked for me might not get a raise even though they were obviously better employees than working for somewhere else. You know what I mean? So, and Katie, you could probably speak to that. Who's in the chat? Is that T?
Yeah, he said, hey, fellas.
T, you know that it's always better to be on the YouTube.
But then I don't have anything to do over here.
Well, that's true. That's true. You know what? Keep talking in the Facebook chat. But please, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Tino, remember, next week, special day and time.
Oh, yeah, because I said that. So next week's going to be we're not going to be on Mondays because my mom's having the surgery on her other eye. So just like last month we did a Tuesday show. This month we're doing it again, and it's going to be next Tuesday. We'll be here. So Monday we won't be here. We'll be here next Tuesday. Taboo Tuesday. That's what we're going to call it. And
you know what's really funny about that is that when I was keying up the music to start, you know, I've got the old Mick Foley intro. And for those that don't know, Mick Foley was the first person that ever actually did an intro for one of my shows. But it was for me and the turd. And I clipped out where he says, and the turd. So it just says, you're listening to Potsy, right? And I queued it up, and I was going to play it tonight. And then I was like, but wait, there's a night that Tino said that his mom is going in for, like, maybe if I show up next Monday, I just play where you're listening to Potsy.
I'll beat your ass. I'll beat your ass.
I might play it right now for everybody anyway.
Oh, she's going to be in Florida next week.
She can still listen.
And she said the turd. Yeah. You gotta explain that one. I don't think she's ever heard. She met the turd? Does she know the turd?
No. So well, she may actually know the turd because he lives in Holly Springs, so he lives, or he might actually live in Apex.
We used to, before I came on board, this was the Potsy and the Turd, right?
Potsy and the Turd was the name of the show, and it did a lot more views. No, we didn't do views back then. We were just a podcast, but yeah, Katie, you and Hunter should both listen to the show, so I can give my deep regret for how I acted a couple weeks ago. Anyways, no, so
explain the turd to Katie.
So when we were trying to figure out a name for our wrestling podcast that we used to do, which wasn't always about wrestling, it's very similar to the way that we do our show. We would talk about ourselves and say what's going on. Ward was always going through college at the time, putting his wife through college at the time. She's now a pharmacist, so good for her, right? But when we were trying to come up with a name, we couldn't come up with a name that really fit. We didn't want to call it Potsy and Ward. That just, there's no ring to it, right? So I finally just said, well, your Twitter handle is Charles the Turd, so why don't we just call it Potsy and the Turd? He's Charles the Third.
Oh.
So he just TURD.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, it's funny because we used to have a podcast spot from Booker T. And Booker T, and actually it's not just Booker T. There's been a bunch of them that we had gone to and actually asked for different things for it. And when Booker T was at the GameStop Manager show, I was like, Ward, you're going to get this one because last year I got us Todd McFarlane, and I got us this guy, and we had like 3 or 4 of them that we used to use for that show, just like we do for this one. Man, I miss shows. We're gonna have to go down to we're gonna have to go down to Florida and actually just go to a show and see if we AEW show or NXT yeah. And I am going down to Orlando, so maybe Wednesday night I sit there and I try to Uber to one of the shows. But anyways, so I made him go up to talk to Booker T. And Booker T had just had his #1 best-selling book come out and everything else, which is all about how he went to prison and everything, and how he made something for himself out of it. And Ward went up to him, and he's like, who do you want me to make it out to? You know, he's like autographing books and stuff, and he's like, no, I don't want an autograph. I need your voice. And he's like, what you talking about? And he's like, is there any way I can get you to do a podcast spot for the Potsy and the Turd? And he goes, which one are you? And he's like, I'm the Turd. And he's like, all right, I got you, dog.
That's awesome.
All right, I got you, dog. You know, and then he does the podcast spot. He's like, can you dig it, sucker? And Ward's like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we got them. We got Nolan North to do one. Nolan North is great. I should just play it for you guys at some point. He's like, I'm the Turd. No, I'm not. I'm these other voices. And all of a sudden he starts doing all the different voices that he did. And his was probably the best one that we had besides Jay Lethal. Because Jay Lethal did Nature Boy.
Because you just said do one.
I was like, man, we're fans.
Because I wanted him to do them all. But I couldn't pick which one I wanted him to do.
He's like, well, which one? And I'm like, hey man. And he goes, you know what? I got this. And then he's like, this is Jay Lethal, the Black Machismo, and woo!
The Nature Boy.
And it's so good.
And he played it for me. I was like, yes.
Yeah, because I'm at the wrestling show, and I had to find a way to, I couldn't get a signal, so I had to go somewhere where I could get a signal. I'm like, you gotta hear this, and I'm like trying to play it, and he's like, I don't hear it. And I was like, okay, let me send it to you. That's so good. It's so good, man.
That one has to be one of my favorite. And Teddy Long.
He was on Busted Open on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably the second best thing I've ever heard from him besides ours.
Oh my God.
Because Mark Henry's trying to interview him at this little show that they're doing, but LaGreca only sent him one headset and one microphone. So Mark Henry had to take the headset off, and you hear Teddy Long going, "All right, player, let me ask you something, player. What's up with him only having one headset and one microphone, player?" He's like, "I think you need to put some money into this show, player." It's like, it's so good, man. It's so good.
He's the best.
He really is. Teddy Long is so great. He gave me 2 autographs when I did that.
Yeah.
So, whew.
Anyway.
All right. Well, we've gone about an hour already.
Yeah, we gotta hit the wrestling.
We gotta hit the wrestling, folks. If you're in the chat, don't be shy. Say hi.
Hi.
For whatever reason, the restream chat option doesn't show me who's actually watching anymore, so I got to see that you're in the audience. But Tino, I think we're gonna start with last week's Monday Night Raw. Do you even remember it? Because I'm gonna tell you, it was probably the best Monday Night Raw of the entire year, and I don't remember it.
I remember bits and pieces of it.
I remember bits and pieces.
I remember. I remember that. I think that they finally set up the Asuka and Charlotte feud. I think that's getting ready to start. Rolling.
Yeah, they did start. They did start rolling with that. They obviously are working. Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman was the main event, and Bobby Lashley looked like the Incredible Hulk.
Oh my God.
He looked like the Incredible Hulk. It's finally happening for Bobby Lashley fans. Like he is finally getting that monster push to be a destroyer
and world champion.
We think like
he's gonna beat the Miz.
I am 95% certain you are right, and there's that 5% of me that sits there and goes, a month and a half before WrestleMania they gave it to the Miz. You know, when they should have given Romans to Kevin Owens, right? But I didn't even talk about my mainframe article this week, the gorilla position.
Yeah, I saw it was Edge and Christian, but I didn't do.
Yeah, so you know what? We're gonna go ahead and put this up here. It's not really a rant, folks. I'm not gonna get angry about anything, but I am gonna say that Christian, just like Edge, is cleared to wrestle, like 100% cleared to wrestle at this point. Now, on top of that, if you go out and you look at mainframecomiccon.com, you can actually check out the gorilla position. My latest article came out today. The ideal behind this is that I said, and the name of my article got changed, but it's okay. I said that Edge and Roman need more peeps, is what I wanted to call it. And I think that was a good name. But instead it's Edge and Christian and Roman was what they changed it to. No big deal. I kind of felt like now that Christian's been approved and everything else, I don't know what his contract situation looks like. Might have been a one-off deal. We've always known that Vince McMahon was not a big Christian fan. He always called him the creepy little bastard. The CLB. And that's not a joke. That's not a shoot. That is a shoot. It's not a word.
It's not a word.
Although he did actually call him a creepy little bastard in the very first episode of the Edge and Christian show that totally reeks of awesomeness, which is hilarious. So they obviously got past that, I guess. But Christian is 100% cleared to wrestle. He was one of the last 4 competitors in the Royal Rumble, and yet we haven't seen him since. So I said in my article, wouldn't it be great if Christian got added to this storyline? And here's how you do it. You ready?
Not Roman J.
So you started as Christian comes out to the ring and gives one of those heartfelt moments of, just like Daniel Bryan, just like Edge, I wanted to know if I could still do it. I wanted to be one of those guys that could come back and get that one more match, right? That's always been a one more match. And in that time, I visited all the doctors. I did just what Adam did. And you call him by his first name. You don't call him Edge at this point because that's when it really goes home and it breaks the kayfabe, right? And you go. I had to know for myself whether or not I could still do it. And the Royal Rumble was great, but I still want that one more match. So I'm here to say that the doctors have cleared me. And then when that happens, Edge's music hits. Mm-hmm. And Edge comes down to the ring, and Edge has tears in his eyes. And he's like, you can do this. You can do this. You can do what I'm trying to do too. We can both do this. And then they hug, they do that whole thing. And after all that, Christian's in the back, doing the stretches or whatever, getting himself ready. And maybe they even sit there and they have Daniel Bryan come out and Daniel Bryan go, Christian, I know exactly what you're going through. So here's the deal. How about you and me have that one more match? And that determines who faces Roman Reigns at the next pay-per-view, right? Now, they go to the back. Christian's sitting there getting ready for the match. And you have Jey Uso beat the shit out of him. Totally destroy him. So, he can't do it. In fact, they go loading him into the ambulance, right? Mm-hmm. Edge sits there and says, I gotta go with my best friend. And they both hop in the ambulance. They go to the local facility.
Local medical facility.
Local medical facility, not a hospital. Local medical facility. And then Jey Uso comes out, Roman comes out. Oh, poor them, right? Poor them. And Daniel Bryan comes out, and Daniel Bryan says, well, I still want a match. And he goes up against Jey Uso. They have their match. And then, because there's still time before WrestleMania, because let's say that's the fast lane match, you get Jey Uso versus Daniel Bryan. Now, granted, this obviously isn't going to happen at this point because they're not thinking, right? Thinking. So then what you do is you have Christian get involved with Jey Uso at some other point, right? Maybe during the Kevin Owens match follow-up, maybe during something like that. And then the Friday before WrestleMania, one night only, because at this point they've now announced Roman versus Edge, one-on-one at Mania. Jey Uso versus Christian, one night only at WrestleMania. And you put Edge and Christian together Friday before Mania against Roman and Jey. And then you do something where, like, Roman doesn't show up because that's who Roman is now.
And Jimmy shows up.
Well, and I'd be okay with that too. But I don't know if Jimmy wants to get involved with that at this point because we don't know if Jimmy's going to be a good guy or a bad guy or if what the whole deal is going to be. But it's more tried and true that you bring, if you're going to bring these old guys back, you bring them back to actually work with the younger guys. Now, granted, Christian probably loses that WrestleMania match and Edge probably wins the WrestleMania match. Or vice versa. You have Christian win and you have Roman go over Edge. I don't know, but I just find that, like, we saw Carlito again.
Yeah.
And now we only saw him once.
He's got a contract, so they're doing something. He's coming back.
Oh, he's been on their bump show and everything else. In fact, he even did the Telemundo show or whatever it was that they've got. Yeah, they've got a Spanish speaking show that he was on. But that's what I would do. I would sit there and I would bring Christian back. He's 47 years old. Edge is 48. It's not like he can't go. Mm-hmm. And he's doing the exact same supplements and everything that Edge is doing, and in the last 5 months has got himself in the best shape of his entire life. And when I say the best shape of his entire life,
Which has abs.
he has Big Show abs. Now, we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Weren't they supposed to have him on AEW? And then did I not see him on AEW this week?
I think he's going on their other YouTube show. But I think he is supposed to come back and talk to... I thought he was supposed to come out and do an interview with Tony Schiavone Wednesday.
That's what I thought.
I might have misunderstood.
That's what I thought. So anyways, do we need to talk about Raw anymore?
Oh, I'm trying to think. So we got the... We talked about the...
We got Drew versus Sheamus.
Yeah.
We got Bobby versus Braun.
Yup.
And Braun got destroyed.
Yep.
Which what the hell's up with that?
I don't know.
Last WrestleMania, he went in, faced Goldberg, and beat him in like 2 minutes.
And they're teasing a Retribution split.
Well, they should.
Yeah.
Those assholes should take those masks off. Like, let's be real. In fact, give Ricochet a push. Damn it. But you know what do we know? What do we know, Tino? Yeah, well, you know he'll be one that shows up on it. Speaking of that,
AEW.
So AEW last week.
Interesting show. I'm interested to see this Matt Hardy, Hangman Adam Page saga and how that's going to play out. Because I think Hangman's going to end up joining or aligning himself with the Dark Order at some point.
Let me just point out something here, though. Matt Hardy being in one of your top angles in your entire show shows exactly how deficient you are for main event talent.
They're not deficient. They're just using them because he's a household name. I mean, they've got main event talent if they would push the talent that they have.
Like, okay, who would you say is main event talent in AEW?
Yeah, the Murder Hawk. I think he can be.
He was in the main event last week. Okay.
Murder Hawk.
Ray Phoenix.
I think Eddie Kingston still has something left. Yeah.
I'm gonna say Eddie Kingston has done more with what he has physically than anybody since Mick Foley.
Yes.
And when I say anybody than Mick Foley still had it like here. Eddie Kingston is still here.
Two guys that I think are main event, and you don't agree with me because you think they're too small, would be Darby and Orange. No,
I think Orange got pushed to main event, but then they immediately cut his legs off.
Okay. Let's see. They do got some. You got me put me on the spot.
So no, their main eventers are these. You ready? The Big Show. The Big Show.
Moxley.
What you? I said I'm gonna say.
Oh.
The Big Show.
He's not even on the TV yet, though.
Right.
Okay.
Right, but he is. Sting. No, he is. He shouldn't be. Which is where they get that WCW feel, right? Moxley, absolutely. But he was main event in WWE. I mean, he faced Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Yeah, Kenny Omega.
You got Kenny Omega, who... What's he done since he won the title?
No, damn.
Bitch, moan, and complain. Oh, and then he said, barbed wire exploding death match.
You got I think probably
Jericho.
MJF.
Not main event yet.
Oh, you mean yet?
No, what I'm saying is when you look at who could main event. So let's say the biggest show of the year. What's the biggest show of the year for any of the wrestling?
WrestleMania.
Okay. Who could main event WrestleMania that's at AEW right now? Jericho. Moxley. Big Show.
What about Hager?
No.
No?
Should be able to. He should get the Bobby Lashley push. But he doesn't.
Murder Hawk?
Should get the Bobby Lashley push. Doesn't. I mean, Murder Hawk put on a 30-minute match against Ray Phoenix. Ray Phoenix sold his ass off in that match. But I'm going to tell you right now, when you look at it, when you look at what you've got, a guy who's 280 pounds should throw that guy, lawn dart him like Rey Mysterio into a production truck.
Yeah.
And the only guy that got lawn darted into a production truck was the Jackson's father.
Yeah.
Now, granted, besides him going, he sold the hell out of it, but I don't know what was up with his mouth and his eyes rolling.
He's pulling Mr. John Cena.
That's exactly what he did. Get
out of my house!
That's exactly what he did. He looked like he was in a cereal commercial when they were sitting there trying to make it look like they were beating the shit out of him. So, like all things considered, and this is the thing that people don't seem to understand. Miro should be a main eventer.
Yes.
But no matter what you tell me, how you show me, or anything else, and I'm not saying their show hasn't been stellar recently. Some of the weeks it's been stellar. I absolutely love where this Moxley versus Kenny Omega thing is going. Except the reason why Moxley is going for that world title when they hadn't had a rematch for that world title yet is because they don't have anybody else that can go for it and be believable. They've had Kenny Omega do 2 matches for the title, but I didn't believe that Rey Fenix was going to win.
You don't think the Hangman will?
Why? Because he's fucking around with the Dark Order and Matt Hardy?
I mean, just.
But that's my point. Is that the guy has all the talent in the world, but you're gonna tell me that you're gonna put him ahead of let's fantasy book this. If he's at WrestleMania and it's him and Daniel Bryan, who are you putting ahead? You're putting Daniel Bryan, right? You're putting Kevin Owens. You any of the top guys at WWE that have been in a main event recently, hell, you're putting Jey Uso above them. Or you're putting him in the match with Jey Uso to try to get him over.
So about women at AEW, you got Britt Baker.
Okay. Who lost?
Stop saying that she could headline a main event at WrestleMania.
Well, but can she? No, she can't.
Why not?
Okay. Is Britt Baker right now, she lost to Nyla Rose last week, right? She lost. What was that?
Nothing.
What was that? So she lost to Nyla Rose last week. Would she stand a chance at WrestleMania against Charlotte? If pushed correctly, yeah, but they're both heels, so no. Asuka, nope.
I don't have any good heels in there.
Sasha, nope. Bailey, nope.
But Thunder Rosa, do you think she'd be alright?
Is she even under contract with them?
So you're saying none of the women that they have could hold up to
I'm saying that a lot of them could wrestle just as well. They could have perfect matches.
Well, that's not going to happen because Vince is not going to push anybody he hadn't made anyway. So
No. But
it's a mute conversation.
It's moot. But
that's what I said.
No, you said mute. You said M-U-T-E, not M-O-O-T. But that's not my argument. My argument is my argument is this: is that when you take into account, because all these people, and you haven't been one of them, but all these people out there sit there and say AEW is competing with the big boys in WWE.
Not yet.
Now, does the Big Show give them that?
Yes.
It gives them more of that. Is it enough?
No.
No, because we've only seen the Big Show wrestle 2 matches in a year, right? Now, granted, dude's in the best shape of his entire life.
They'd have to get not even Ricochet. I mean, even Ricochet might help him, but they got
Ricochet won't help him.
Kevin Owens.
You would need to basically do the WCW versus WWE Monday Night War, and you'd have to steal a John Cena. He would be your Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
You would have to steal a John Cena. You would have to steal a Rock. And The Rock is already 10 years too late. Stone Cold's too late.
Cena's really too late, though, wouldn't it be?
Cena's like 42. He's my age, 43. Okay. So he would be a guy that you and when you look at the 90s and Hogan was what, late 40s? Mm-hmm. So Hogan coming into WCW when he did that.
What about a Punk? You think it's too late for Punk?
No, I think Punk's too small now. He lost like 75 pounds so that he could do what he does. But Punk would be a good one. I think Punk would be one that you just recently were starting to think about again, right? So you saw CM Punk on WWE backstage, and he would be a good one.
Let me ask you this.
No,
I know
I'll be real with you.
I know you hate these guys. You hate these guys, but I think if they came to AEW and they were pushed and polished correctly, they could be used.
Retribution?
No. Enzo and Cass. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen. Enzo has mic skill.
And he's fat now.
He's fat. I haven't seen him.
Oh, he's fat. Dude, they showed up this week.
Big Cass is ripped. Big Cass is like.
He
is. What he showed up where?
I think it was Impact Plus.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, they did like a gymnasium show.
Oh.
And you're right. Like Big Cass.
I think if they put Enzo as a mouthpiece for what's my man who doesn't talk? Stone Cold's twin.
Oh, Dexter Lumis.
You want to put him up there? He would get. You don't think he'd be a good mouthpiece?
A good mouthpiece.
Fuck you, Rob.
You having trouble?
I'm tired. I'm tired.
So okay. Let's be real.
So no to Enzo and Cass. I know you're
gonna. No. They would be a good addition, but the problem is that I don't think that the people that are already in AEW are being used correctly.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think that they need to keep stealing WCW guys, so they're just making themselves WCW, or excuse me, WWE guys, because they're just making themselves WCW light. That's cool.
It's my drawing of The Rock.
I thought almost like Lex Luthor.
Maybe
until I saw the eyebrow.
Maybe he is Lex Luthor, except he's The Rock.
Yeah.
So okay. Here's my point to all of this.
Okay.
Is that WWE right now has their minor league.
And they're not even using all their talent either.
They're not. In fact, they just signed an amazing class, which means
it's the dog-faced gremlin son.
Well, did you see that dude that looks like Brock Lesnar?
Yes, I did. And they said, I thought
Patrick Bordeaux.
They were talking about they're going to say he was Brock's son or some shit. Like, don't do that. Don't do that.
But Brock even likes that kid.
Yeah.
But what they're going to do, and this is what I'm saying, is that AEW has proven that they can play.
Yeah.
Right? They've proven they can get 800,000 to 1 million viewers. Monday Night Raw, when it was at its absolute worst, was still doing 1.6, right? But I've already told you that WWE doesn't look at ratings as much as they used to. Now, granted, USA might. Heck, Fox might.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Fox looks at it more than USA does, because USA's parent company just gave the WWE
Peacock.
$1 billion on top of the $1 billion they gave them a year ago.
But SmackDown's still going to stay on Fox. Though.
Yeah. Well, but the replays are going to be available
Peacock.
on Peacock. And think about that. Monday Night Raw is the lowest rating it's ever had, and it's going up though because they're finally putting on quality programming. But at the same time, they were given $1 billion when no one can even tell me what the rights fees are for AEW. I would assume it's probably $80 million a year.
Yeah.
And I think that's good.
Yeah.
But that's what NXT got. Right? So you're not talking apples and apples. You're not talking competitive. And because of that, I say right now that the main thing about it is that you do have some competitive main eventers that if the WWE were to take, they could do one of two things with. Let's say Kenny Omega's contract came up, and I know he's a vice president of AEW, so this won't happen. But if Kenny Omega were to come into the WWE, they could do one of two things.
Bury him.
They could either legitimize AEW by making him a main event player day one,
Mm-hmm.
or they could illegitimize AEW by basically making him a mid-carder, which in some cases, let's be real, the number one worker in the business typically is a mid-carder. And if you want my opinion and you want my point, Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan,
Miz.
sometimes Seth Rollins. Miz isn't number one. He might be the world champion right now, but he's basically, he's
was a mid-card.
He's Vince's way of saying my mid-carder can win my world championship, right? And they do that all the time. They'll go, okay, we need a placeholder until we've got the guy. But you can't tell me that if Bobby Lashley walked into AEW tomorrow, that Bobby Lashley isn't destroying Kenny Omega for the world title.
Yeah.
Because what they do is they legitimize their WWE people up to a certain extent. Like, look at Miro. Miro's nowhere higher than he was on their card than he was on WWE's. In fact, he was in the main event of a lot of different Monday Night Raws, and now all of a sudden he's midway through the show on AEW at best, and it's a good spot for him.
He's happy with it.
Well, I don't think he's happy. I think he wants to be world champion. I think all these guys should want to be world champion. Look at Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears left WWE because he said, I'm better than this.
And they're not doing shit with him in AEW.
But he's not. He's not. It's just unfortunate but true. So, anyways, that's my feelings on it. I did like the Darby and Sting thing, except I've got to be real with you.
I don't like the Darby coming in on the...
That's what I was going to say. I'm glad you said that. Because it shits on... Even though it was probably the safest it has ever been.
Still wouldn't have done it.
I wouldn't have done it either. I liked Darby coming out. I actually liked Sting opening up the body bag and having Hook in it. But no, I would not. And I thought it was in bad taste. Mm-hmm. I thought it was deplorable. I thought it was something that AEW should have thought about a lot better than they did. I felt that they really don't understand how much, and maybe this has something to do with the 18 to 35 demographic or 18 to 45 that they weren't here for that, right? But Cody was.
He knows better.
Sting was. Hell, Sting may not have ever met Owen Hart, but he met Bret Hart. I didn't like it. I didn't like that.
Yeah, that's only part of the show. I was like, that was.
And anybody who's really buying into the whole Tony Schiavone going, it's Sting at this point, get over it. Like, he's just a dude. They've already shown that. He took one power bomb and couldn't roll away.
Killed himself.
Yeah, and almost. I wasn't going to say that.
And at the end of the show, if he goes, we're desperately out of time. One more time.
Yeah.
I do like that they're still paying tribute to.
Yeah.
You're saying it's Wednesday night, so
you know what that means.
I like that.
I think that's going forward. I think that now that they have a guaranteed TV champion in -1, that's just the way that it is. When's Darby going to actually put that title on the line? Considering Cody did it every week.
I don't know. I thought it was not because he got a street fight, so I don't know who he's going to. He did put it on the line against. But that was like what month ago?
I don't remember. I mean,
against Brian Cage, remember?
Oh yeah. And I hated that match because Brian Cage should have thrown him through a table and the match should have been over. Yeah. NXT.
What can I?
What can I not say?
My favorite. Okay, so I had a couple of favorites, but I think one of the.
I know where you're going.
In the match with Gargano. And your man's
Indy Hartwell.
She's like, and all of a sudden she goes, oh my god, is she really? He's like, I think he's kind of hot. I'm like, what the hell is going?
So,
but that was funny. She's like backed away from him, then she got around the corner.
You know, I listen to Busted Open a lot of times, and
dude, that match, that
Busted Open explained that a long time ago that NXT was easily the best wrestling show on TV. And they're right. It is week in, week out the best wrestling.
But they want to add in some comedy.
But that wasn't even the best comedy bit of the episode.
Oh no, there was. Which one was yours? Which one?
Oh,
Cameron Grimes to the moon.
To the moon.
Damn you, yes, you're not smart for Cameron Grimes.
No. He's like. Oh, I think I've got this. Okay, so explain it to the people that might not have watched.
Okay, so years ago, when Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, everybody remembers the bit where he had the kid come up on the stage and bounce the basketball 10 times. So he was going to give him $1,000. So the kid got to about 8 or 9.
I think it was only going to give him $100
or $100 or something, and he got to like 8 or 9.
He got to 8 or 9.
And DiBiase kicked the ball away. So Cameron Grimes he's got all this money now, so he figures he's going to do it.
Where did he get his money?
Through the GameStop.
Through the GameStop Robin Hood shit. Like they immediately jumped on that, and amazing.
It was hilarious.
You showed me the music video.
You like that, dude? To the moon. At first you like it's stupid, but it's catchy. Wasn't it? To the moon. So he's watching the video of DiBiase doing this. He goes, I can do that. He doesn't finish the whole video, right? So he goes up to the first person and goes, I give you $1,000 if you bounce this ball 10 times. So the dude does it 10 times, and he goes, and he takes the money. He goes, that's not how that was supposed to happen. And dude said, you didn't watch the whole video, did you?
He's like, you didn't $1 Million Man and kick the ball away. Like he actually tells him what was wrong with it.
That's like everything. Damn you, DiBiase. So then he goes up.
They gotta have Ted DiBiase show up at some point during this. Oh my god.
So then he goes, what was the second? Was it the WBA chick? No, what was that?
He goes up to the,
he's like, I'll give you.
And she's taller than him and everything. Like, I mean, she's just towering over him.
So he watches the whole video. He goes, I got it. And he goes up to her, and like he's counting. He's like, 1, 2, and he gets the 9, and he goes to kick, and she crosses over between her legs. And he's like, takes the money and puts it in. He goes, damn you, DiBiase.
He's gonna end up being broke.
Oh my god.
That's gonna be the best part. Is like he won all this money from GameStop, did the music video, all that,
buying all this,
shit.
The car, he goes, I was gonna know him. So the third one, he walks up to the guy, and he goes, I'm gonna give you just punch the damn ball. And the guy goes, the Ted DiBiase, yes, the Ted DiBiase thing. So the guy goes 1, he goes, and he goes, and he still goes the money. And walks away. I'm smarter than you, Ted DiBiase. Oh God.
And he's doing this wearing like a purple velvet suit without a shirt on, and he's got the big hairy chest.
Oh God, those segments had me crying. I was laughing. I was trying to be quiet because Nicole, she came out. She goes, "What are you laughing at?"
Did you rewind it so she could watch it?
And she goes, "That is so stupid." She laughed. She goes, "That's the stupidest shit."
It's so good.
She laughed, but it was so good. Oh my god.
So you're absolutely right. The Johnny Gargano with and like I love the fact that Austin Theory's like a little bit off right now.
Yeah.
Like when they go to do this,
he goes
and he does it the other way, and he's like, oh.
That's it. You're going to therapy. No, not therapy.
Dude. And
those are the two of the best things going on right now.
And then on top of that,
oh God,
you get Adam Cole to finally explain.
But did he though?
He did it the way that a heel does it.
Yeah.
He did it the way the heel does it.
I'm still waiting because he's got that thing zipped all the way up. I'm telling you.
You think it's gonna say the brand?
I'm telling you.
So I think you're right.
Because what's his name McAfee can't be there all the time to lead them.
But why would he go 2 major matches against McAfee only to join him?
Because I think
it's wrestling.
That and I think it's a swerve. Because McAfee, if you remember, like after he turned, McAfee's on the plane. And I told you that dirty so and so. I think it's a swerve. I think they're gonna be like, he's gonna go up to McAfee and be like, hey, you're right, or something. They're gonna work something out.
Well, I don't even think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be We fooled everybody.
And I'm sure he's going to unzip that coat. I'm waiting for it.
I
Because why else was it? I mean, you know, it's zipped all the way up to here.
But why even wear the shirt underneath it yet if you know that it's gonna? You know what I mean? Like it's like the polo shirt that's got the button all the way to the top, and you're like I don't know how you can breathe with that.
I'm telling you that it's coming.
So you're right, and we know it's coming, and at this point, I think that's gonna be the four horsemen. It's gonna be him, Oni Lorcan. It's gonna be
Bruiserweight.
The Bruiserweight, and what's his name? You know,
Birch.
Yeah, Danny Burch.
And I also think
we always forget Danny Burch.
And this is where Kyle O'Reilly steps up and he takes over the Undisputed Era. So it'll be him, Roddy, Fish, and maybe a new member.
I don't think there'll be a new member.
You think it's just be three of them?
I think it'll just be the
three. But it'll be 3 on 4. That's not even. You know what I mean?
But that's how you get the baby faces over.
True.
You know.
Maybe once in a while, maybe Mr. Finn Balor steps in and helps out.
No, I think yes, but not in the way that you're thinking. I think that you get Kyle, and obviously Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole is a feud that has gone on for about 5 years now, and anybody who hasn't watched Ring of Honor or New Japan, because they did have in fact,
I didn't get to watch New Japan, but I did see it in Ring of Honor.
Adam Cole beat Kyle O'Reilly for the Ring of Honor championship at the Wrestle Kingdom, and the reason why was because Kyle O'Reilly's contract came up first, and I find it interesting. You know, I always found it interesting that those guys got together as a team.
Yeah.
You know, because Adam Cole was always the Bullet Club member, and Red Dragon was always against those guys. So seeing how they've kind of done with this, and Roddy just got added to the group because they were like, well, Roddy was in Ring of Honor with these guys. Let's just go ahead and hey, and because of that, you could always do away with Roddy as part of the group and just have him go his own way. Like Roddy is tailored to be a good mid-carder on SmackDown or Raw. Like I wouldn't put him on Raw at this point because man, imagine the matches of him and Daniel Bryan. Because I think those guys had matches back in the day in Ring of Honor, back. Because Roddy was I saw Roddy's last Ring of Honor match in Concord. Like he had signed with WWE and was able to finish out his contract, and his last match was February of 3 years ago. And
I didn't go with you on that one. That one we went.
No, that was me and Jason, and me having to hold Jason back because he wanted to fight the Briscoe brothers. And there's video of that, by the way, folks. And
the Briscoes would have killed him.
They would have killed him, and I would have gotten out of the way.
Because I don't think sometimes those dudes, I don't know, they know it's the damn work. Sometimes they look like they might snap.
They legitimately look like if the Bushwhackers and Bobby Lashley had kids.
See, that's the kind of thing I wish. But they shut up. If those guys would ever come over to WWE,
and we haven't gotten anybody to chat with us.
That's all right.
All night, I feel
it is past the time I wanted to get to, but we're having fun.
We are having fun. We still got to talk about 2 other shows.
Yeah,
Well, at least one other show.
We just got SmackDown.
Yeah, I was gonna say Raw, but we already talked about Raw.
But if the Briscoes would have come to WWE, shit, if the Briscoes go to AEW, that might help them boost it.
I don't.
One person I did not mention who if he did go to AEW, that might help them is Nick Aldis.
Yes.
Nick Aldis.
However,
he'll probably go to WWE because of Mickie James.
But or Mickie James will never be used again. But where would Nick Aldis be on the card today on WWE programming?
Upper mid card, probably. He might get pushed.
I would say he goes directly to NXT.
Really?
And immediately into the main event picture in NXT.
Because he wouldn't skip who skipped NXT and just went straight to
AJ Styles.
So you don't think he could pull AJ just go straight to the main roster? You
I mean,
think you put him in NXT?
Let's be real. Should he? Yes. James Storm? Yes.
Yes.
However, James Storm, when he showed up in WWE, where did he go?
They didn't know what to do with him either.
No, but where did he go?
He went to NXT, but they screwed the pooch on that one.
But look at his partner, Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode became NXT World Champion, and since then he's been relegated to being mid-card tag team.
Yeah.
Right? So Nick Aldis, what I'll say is this. I would say if I were a guy on the indie scene right now, not doing much, and somebody said, "We want to sign you to an NXT contract right now."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And here's what we got planned. Damn right, I would go. Otherwise, you're walking in and it's like, so here's what I want to do with you.
Oh no.
I want to put you in a program with Chad Gable and Otis. Sorry, Vince. I'll go to AEW and just be a curtain jerker. You know, I'll go work with what's the guy that lost to Jake Hager last week. I'll just lose to him every week. How about that guy?
But what else happened in NXT? I think we covered everything.
I think we covered most of it. You know, that there were.
EO finally came out. What is going on with your girl Xia Li?
I think it's great.
I know.
And here's what's awesome about it.
Who's going to stop her though? Who's going to stop her? Rhea's gone. I mean, I think they're going to push her all the way up to EO.
Taya Valkyrie.
Okay.
Or who's the new girl? Zoe Stark.
I hadn't heard of. I mean, I know she's on the NXT, but I don't know where she came from. I hadn't heard of her before.
Doesn't matter.
You think Zoe Stark? Really?
I think to the moon.
Yeah.
With Zoe Stark. All you hear is everybody talking about how good she is, and I mean her second match in NXT was against Io Shirai, right? Now she didn't win.
Here's my next question.
But she didn't need to. She got the rub.
So we got Dakota Kai and her partner.
Yep.
Gonzalez.
Yep.
Are supposedly heels.
Sure.
Gonna go against Shania, that they call them, that we know are heels. But I think in the in-ring promo last week,
they got over
as faces.
As babies, yeah, they did.
So you think they're gonna do the switch on NXT and not just, you know what I mean?
I hope that they win the titles.
They'll win the titles, but you think they'll go stay heel, or you think they're gonna go face?
I don't know if they'll win the titles.
Why not? Who else? Who?
Okay.
Okay.
Who's in charge of WWE?
Vince McMahon.
Who's in charge of NXT?
Hunter.
Okay. WWE tag team titles for the women.
They're not gonna give them the NXT chicks.
Which now I think
because that would be awesome because they would be able to go on both brands and show off.
Now, and I've already said that the way that they should handle it, and this is if Vince is bought in, right? And it's hard to get Vince bought in on NXT people, which is weird because it's the show everybody talks about, right? The interesting thing about this is the way that you deliver it to him is, Vince, these two are both main roster ready. You have them win the tag team championships so they can defend against all three brands. And all the while, the commentators sell it as, which brand will they be on when this is all said and done?
Yep.
Right? And that's how you do it. But if you take Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez away from NXT right now, today, do they still have the female roster that they had when we were talking about, wow, Rhea Ripley just lost and we know she's going, and they still have the most power-packed women's division in all of wrestling on NXT? Do they still have it if they don't have those two? And I have to wonder, because you haven't seen what's her face with the knee braces. She keeps blowing out her legs, so she's
Tegan.
Yeah, you haven't seen Tegan Knox in a while. You haven't seen like every time you see Casey Catanzaro and her tag team partner that they get beat
by
Xia Li. Yeah, oh yeah. And I mean, They're enhancement talent, right? Like as a tag team, they're better than when they're apart. So that's the whole gimmick. That's Legion of Doom. That's Hawk would go up against Ric Flair and lose every time, but then when you put Hawk and Animal together, they could beat the Four Horsemen, right? Like even though there's four of them, I don't know how that works, but you could see that happening. You would actually believe it. But every time Hawk would have an Intercontinental Championship match, he would lose, and you'd be like, why did he even go for it?
Yeah.
Like that dude is a monster. Why is he? Oh, because he doesn't have the gas tank. Because he needs a tag team partner. Makes sense. Anyways, so I love the idea of them taking the NXT Women's Tag Team and bouncing them around to the 3 different shows.
If they're not gonna let an NXT females win, they might as well just make an NXT Women's Tag Team Championship and be done with it.
They should. Although, do they have enough tag teams in NXT Women's Division to do that? And I don't think so. I don't think they do. So
what's the point of having tag teams if they can't? You know what I mean? Then you're just chasing your tail.
Well, why don't you go ahead and why don't you keep that up? Keep talking about that.
Just chasing their tail. Who knows where? Nobody popped out anywhere. Nobody popped out anywhere. So.
Big Show popped out.
Where the fuck did Big Show come from?
Like let's be real, okay? We didn't talk about this last week because we didn't fucking know.
Yeah. Yeah, it came out after we did the show.
They officially announced Paul White as an AEW signee Wednesday morning. Why the hell is the biggest athlete in the world not the guy that when you want to sit there and have a fuck you, oh my god moment, that this guy wasn't the guy that you just have him sit there and like choke slam Brian Cage.
And he's got a wrestler. They said he's got a wrestler contract.
Or if you want to hold him off, you got Cody versus Shaq this week.
I think that's what they're doing.
Why the hell do you not hold him off and then have them sit there and have Tony Schiavone go, that's Paul White! That's Paul White!
I think that's one of the things because Shaq is willing to work with AEW. And remember, because Shaq was supposed to do a match with a Big Show back in WWE, they're going to have that dream match, but it's going to be in AEW.
But did you ever hear how pissed off Big Show was that A, that match didn't happen, and B, like how he felt he was disrespected from that idea?
And he was disrespected the night of a couple weeks ago when they had all the reunion thing, how they just he felt they were disrespectful to him backstage too. When he was there, he didn't feel respected anymore. WWE.
Well, no, it's not that. It's the Shaq thing is what I'm talking about specifically. He sat there and said that Shaq and I set up this whole thing. Vince McMahon wanted to do it, and then Shaq was not in shape. So Big Show sat there, started his diet, got himself in the best shape of his entire life, and Shaq just was like, I'll show up, I'll get paid, I'll do what I do because I'm Shaq. And Big Show was like, no, you're going to respect me. I'm a guy that deserves to be respected. If you're going to sit there and play this up, we're going to do it right, and we're both going to do it, and we're both going to be in the best shapes of our lives. And I don't know, I've seen the videos of Shaq trying to get in shape and stuff, and I don't know if it means that Shaq is in shape, but I know for a fact that the Big Show has fucking abs now.
Oh.
And I don't, and like, but what I'm telling you,
his face is smaller in that picture, the AEW picture.
But what I'm telling you is that if you were gonna make an impact with the Big Show, Paul White showing up on your program, the way that you do it is you have him be the guy that helps Cody beat Shaq. And
they can still do that. It's just not a surprise anymore.
It doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. I don't give a shit about it anymore. It's garbage. Yeah. So you wasted it. You wasted it the way that Eric Bischoff wasted Goldberg winning the world title. You gave it away for free TV, and you didn't even give it away on TV. You gave it away for free on social media. That's bullshit. It's bad booking.
Bad. Shame.
Did you see the post earlier this week on the wrestling group that we're on where they were like start a wrestling fight in 5 words or less, and my statement was AEW is just rehashing WWE?
No, I didn't see that one.
But, and it's not even they're rehashing WWE. They're rehashing WCW. They're rehashing bad booking decisions. And it's something that like right now, as we speak right now, they announced a barbed wire exploding death match, right?
Yep.
Now, 10 years ago, when pay-per-view was a thing, because it's not nearly what it used to be, they denied things like a exploding barbed wire death match. So now I have to assume that when Cablevision or whomever is around as the major cable providers or whatever they're trying to sell it through, look at it, they're gonna have people that wonder whether or not this is real and whether or not they're actually going to have guys being exploded, right? So this match may not go off at this point. Now, granted, I think that Tony Khan's got enough money to where he'll be like, here's money, shut up. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something Paul Heyman didn't have when he probably wanted to do the same type of thing. But everyone's like, oh, this will wake WWE up. Bullshit. WWE doesn't have to do that. They did a match on the roof of their building last year, and it was a highly touted pay-per-view. They don't need to sit here and...
They set a dummy on fire.
They did set a dummy on fire.
That was so stupid.
Yeah, that was terrible.
You could tell.
It's like giving birth to a hand.
And like when Alexa burnt his face, and like 2 weeks later, he's normally getting like, what the hell? They said he had 2nd-degree burns.
Well, hold on. He put the baby oil on, so he was able to wipe the baby oil off. Very 1st-degree burns, like it's like a sunburn. Anyways,
SmackDown.
Yeah, let's talk about it because Tino wants to get out of here, and I don't want to keep him too long. But
did you watch the Big E thing on the network?
Yes, I did.
It was awesome. Was it not? I enjoyed it.
I gotta tell you. If you want to talk about that, there's a WWE 24 out there, folks, for Big E, where they talk about Etor Ewan. And in it, I couldn't help but
blown away.
I got teared up when they talked about when he talked specifically about how he wanted to be a football player and he wanted to do this and he's like, and I didn't get to start, but I didn't redshirt my first year. I redshirted my 2nd year after I blew out my first knee. Then I blew out my 2nd knee. Then I blew out my pec.
Yeah.
Then I blew out my and you're just sitting there and he's like I.
But he kept going, dude.
Well, it wasn't that he kept going. He did the right thing when he realized that his football career was over. He went to grad school. He was going to make something up. We didn't find out what his next option was. Like, was he going to be an accountant? Was he going to be? was he going to be the guy that announced?
Big ass accountant.
Was he going to be the guy that announced the GameStop stock offer? I don't know.
Right.
You think about it, like we don't know because that was 17 years ago, right? So then you think about it, and by chance, the guy who was an Iowa backer is also the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame main guy.
And I thought the dude was on a plane with Jim Ross.
And he gets on a plane, and the guy wearing an Oklahoma Sooners shirt next to him wearing a cowboy hat is good old JR. And JR sits there and says,
if you know anybody that might want to do it, and this is a guy that literally was there in not the WWE Hall of Fame, the pro wrestling, the real physical building Hall of Fame, and he was going to watch the NCAA championships, and when they came back, a guy who knew Big E was there, and he's like, I think I got a guy that you might want to talk to, and it wasn't just that though, it was. And I remember watching when WWE did that special on John Cena and The Rock. Yep.
And John Cena was in his gym. And the reason why I remember it being his gym was was because John Cena, being from Boston, ended up having one of the garages painted with "Play Like a Champion Today," which is the Notre Dame statement, and it was blue, yellow. I mean, the players at Notre Dame football slap the sign on their way out every game that they play at home. So the fact that that was there, I remember that, and I remember that there was just some big dude that was doing something, and I was like, and I think that's about the time that he came out as Big E Langston, and you and I are like,
he was on FCW at the time, because they weren't. He's like, we didn't get TV time. He said, so John Cena's like, hey, if you break this record, I'll make sure you make it in the doc. I mean, that's just awesome on Cena's part.
And then not only did he break the record, he pressed 575 pounds. And my favorite part of it wasn't that he did it, but it's that the guy that was spotting him, was Roman Reigns, and the first guy to come up and slap him on the chest and said, "You're a monster," was Xavier Woods. And you're looking at it and you're like, it's so crazy to see all those guys, because this is before the Performance Center.
Yep.
This is before they had a place of their own to do it. And John Cena kind of started that whole thing in Tampa, Florida, right? Like, and probably even gave them the idea of, this is where we need to actually start coming up with the next level of guys. So I loved it. I love what they do with that stuff, man. When they really connect with something, like who I'd want to see them doing with right now, because of his character and everything? Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Which is probably as polarizing of a character as Cameron Grimes, right? But I would love to see one on Sami Zayn right now.
That'd be awesome.
I would love to see them talk about his El Generico days. I would love to see them talk about how he was the consummate baby face for as long as possible, and then all of a sudden, even when he changed and became that big ass heel that he was, you still were looking at it like, okay, he's one of the best workers in the world, but is he going to get this over?
Mm-hmm.
And now, I don't care what anybody says. When you talk about SmackDown being the #1 show week in, week out, because even on an off night, it is still like 80% better than any of the other shows. And it's 100 to 200% better on its best nights. But I say this as a fact. When everybody sits there and gives Roman Reigns all the credit for being the guy and the reason why that show is where it is, he came back the same fucking night that Sami Zayn did, and since then, that show has been on fire.
It's just a supporting cast. You got Zayn.
Daniel Bryan.
They're burying his ass, but you got
Kevin Owens.
I would even say Big E's carrying the ball on that.
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. Apollo Crews suddenly going to the Uhaa Nation. You like, they're finally giving him character. And that character wasn't from Vince McMahon.
No.
That was kid, if you want to make this a career,
yep,
and you want to make it at the highest level, because all these people can sit there and say, oh, having the AEW championship is blah blah blah. It's not.
That because Cena was on his way about to get fired before he was rapping on a plane, and then Stephanie happened to hear him. Sasha Banks was on her way. She felt she was on her way out before she came up with Sasha Banks.
Bailey thought she was going
to. So a lot of that is like, look, they're just like, I got it. It's like go time. It's desperation.
Big E, perfect example. When Xavier Woods was like, he was basically Steve Urkel and the Incredible Hulk in one character.
I wish I'd have seen that one.
Oh, and you, yeah, it was. It was great, right? But at the same time,
he was looking. He was searching.
Like he had to find something.
And then he came up with that stupid 5.
That wasn't him. That was Dusty Rhodes. Baby, we're gonna give you that 5 count.
But it got him over, and they got him the AEW. Sorry, they got him the NXT Championship.
Well, it got him over in NXT.
Yeah.
But it didn't get him over in WWE because here he was, a baby face getting the 5 count in NXT, and he was a heel working as the muscle for Dolph Ziggler. And remember, he slapped AJ in the boob the one time.
That's funny.
but you know, he was there the night that Dolph won the world championship.
Yep.
You know, anyways,
Point.
my point in all of this is that like SmackDown is firing on all cylinders because they did away with the garbage storylines. Like Seth Rollins, his garbage storyline with Buddy Murphy and Rey Mysterio disappeared, and now they're going not Rey Mysterio, but Cesaro versus Seth Rollins in what will easily be a show-stealing match.
Yes.
Whenever it happens.
And then, of course, the thing with Roman is just off the chain right now. That's number one. Like I said, I mean, we were talking about Big E all night, but I like Big E. I think it finally clicked, and he even said in his special he can still have fun, but still be that monster and turn it on.
Well, he flat out told them he wasn't going to change who he was.
Yeah.
He was like, "This is me."
Yeah.
Like, and whenever we've heard that a wrestler really connects with his audience, it is because it's him
turned up
to that level, right? Like we can't even see my hand.
He said he's really shy. Remember he said?
Oh, he said he's an introvert.
Yeah. So which it just amazes me, cracks me up to see.
But
that transformation.
But there are introverts out there.
He said with his friends he's Big E.
Exactly. So. And you know, like I like video games. I like playing on Sega Genesis and you know, like and you see that but now he sits there and flat out says there's nothing like when I'm in front of that crowd.
That crowd.
And you know, there isn't the crowd right now, which probably hurt him at the beginning of that, but you know, we saw in that video where he laid down on the mat and just rolled all the way down to the ring, and that's just who he is. Like, he wants to get a pop out of everybody. You and I want to pop each other when we do this show. We don't want to sit there and just bore each other to death. Like you wanted to be done 45 minutes ago, and yet you've had fun.
Yes.
You know, unfortunately, it means he's going to get up and be tired tomorrow. But we do this because we have fun. And we have so much more fun when we do it like this. You know, like it just is. It's just that way. Like, and you and I are like this
off the air
with everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just you and me doing this with each other.
No.
Like, and we are like this when we're with each other.
Yeah.
Like, we watched the last pay-per-view together, and we were like ready to slap each other because like one of us wouldn't let the other one finish their sentence, or we would say, like, he kept calling me a ginger, which obviously I'm redheaded. It happens, you know.
I did. I just like.
Yeah,
it's like brothers. We do that because he does it to me too.
Oh yeah. Like I love when his wife used to. I remember, like, Tino actually has a game of Operation at home.
Oh my God! And somebody gave that to me.
And
wasn't Nicole.
They've taken the guy.
It was my old band that did that.
And colored him in brown, and it looks like Tino. It looks like Tino. And like, I've seen it, and it just makes me laugh. But you know, like that's who we are. Like, we can say that shit and do that shit with each other. I
took a picture of Shrek and painted him brown.
Yes.
That wasn't funny.
It was very funny, actually.
So what else happened on SmackDown we talk about? So we further
we officially have both main events at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I was gonna say, my girl Bianca went ahead and said she wants her.
Worst kept secrets in all of WWE.
Because I was thinking about it, they try to keep if you're dating someone, they try to keep you together, which I'm wondering, because Naomi's on Raw now, so I'm wondering if Jimmy even comes back to SmackDown.
And he might not. Like,
if he goes to Raw, what if he goes to Raw?
Hopefully he just has the full Uso haircut, you know, the whole mane, rather than that weird Lego cut that Jay's got going on.
So I said that because Bianca's married to Montez.
To Montez, yes.
So I assume that she'd be going for that title. And
Oh yeah, well, you know when the draft came up, I said when one of them went to the one show, I was like, oh well, I guess this means that
We
she's
do,
going there or he's going there. I think it was Bianca got drafted
Bianca
before
got
that.
drafted, and then when
It went off the air, and
when Black
I
went
was
off,
like, it'll happen.
Alistair Black went, and then what's her name went with him. You remember?
However, now he's just gone. I the so there's a theory that he was silently released and has a 90-day no compete.
Mm.
So because they fired her, there's the possibility that Alistair Black just shows up somewhere else, which would be a travesty of justice because both of them are highly talented employees. And I get the idea that WWE doesn't want one of their employees having an OnlyFans account because OnlyFans, a lot of people don't realize this if you're trying to start your own OnlyFans account like Tino here. What's it? Hootie Fan 91 on OnlyFans? Uh, tomorrow it will be. I'll set one up. I'll have a couple pictures of you on there. $9.99 a month, folks. Non-nude. Maybe one.
Shut up. Anyway.
See, this is how we fuck with each other. Anyways.
I'm gonna put you on that one with Buff Bagwell. Keep fucking with me. The one Buff Bagwell, the little stripping cowboy, whatever he does. That's gonna be you. Mess with me.
So anyway, yeah, I think that because she decided to push the envelope and push the buck on it, they probably went ahead and said, hey, we're gonna just write out your contract to Alistair Black and you're not allowed to work. And they can do that. Although I gotta ask you something, Tino. And I'll try to make this quick and I'll let you answer it and then I think I'm done for the night. But they're independent contractors.
Yep.
What stops them from ending their contract early?
I never understood that. I never understood how independent contractor, because to be an independent contractor, he has so much control over them. You know that like
Vince does.
Yeah, Vince has so much control over them. They have to pay their own health care. They got to make sure the health care is kept up. They have to, but he can still say what you can and what you can't do. I'm a subcontractor, bitch. You know, I'm my boss.
Yeah, if I were a person that was looking at this,
I think it's just Vince that want to pay taxes.
Well, that's obvious, right? And by the way, because the WWE announced that they weren't paying bonuses to their employees, this did not affect the wrestlers. However, it did affect the wrestlers who are friends with the employees who are no longer getting bonuses. So those that are not getting bonuses were negatively affected, which meant that their friends who are wrestlers have heard the stories, and that has negatively affected their morale as well.
Yep.
However, you know that like my entirety of my career at GameStop, I was told never to talk about how much money I made. And the reason why was because I knew my employees didn't make as much as me. I mean, I can honestly say that a store manager at GameStop makes twice as much as what their lowest paid employee makes per hour.
Makes sense. I get that.
Not per hour, but then they get 40 hours and then the part-time employee gets 3, right? So per hour they make twice as much. Now, granted, the amount of work expected of a store manager is exponentially larger. However, the assistant manager doesn't make 80% of what the store manager makes. They make like 70% of what the store manager makes. So if a store manager, let's say, made $15 an hour, the assistant manager is making like $11 an hour, right? So there's a huge disparity there. And the assistant manager is expected to work 40 hours a week if they even have an assistant manager. Like now they've decided to do away with assistant managers, and I wish I could fight for the GameStop store managers and tell them that they need to put that position back, because like you then have 2 key holders making less than $10 an hour
And they don't give a shit.
running the store if the store manager isn't there. Like, what kind of store are you trying to run? Like, do you want like shit all over the floor and people not care? Like, I just don't get it. But anyways, the whole independent contractor thing. I always thought that and I've never worked under contract, but I would assume that if you were a contracted worker and you agreed to a certain thing, it was both sides that could end the contract.
Mm-hmm.
But yet it doesn't seem like that's the case with WWE.
Mm-mm.
So like everything about working there is a contract term, but it's a contract term to be an employee.
Yep.
Is what it feels like.
Yep.
And yet now, although Andrew Yang, the Democrat out of I want to say California, but I'm not really sure where he's from. The Democrat from wherever is basically saying that now that we have a Democrat in office, he is going to fight that. So it'll be interesting. Yeah. So, Tino,
I'm done.
I'm done too. Let me go ahead and cue up the music.
Dude, I will Ric Flair chop you.
No, I'm not gonna stop you. Go ahead and start now.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being part of the show. You can catch this fool on the Twitter.
What about that fool?
At Potcheck. You can catch this fool at HootieFan91. You can catch me on the Insta at SCTino. He is Rob Potcheck.
You can
also check the show out on Twitter, Potsy and Tino. Potsy and Tino. And then Facebook is Potsy and Tino Show. I always get those confused.
Right.
You're obviously watching us on YouTube, so whatever channel that is, please make sure you subscribe to it.
Rob Potcheck.
Pots and Pans. Pots and Pans Network too, right?
We're on the No. It's just the Pots and Pans Network is what we go by, but it's Rob Potcheck on YouTube.
Twitch.
Rob Potsy Potcheck on
All
Twitch.
Right.
And tonight we're on Facebook on Rob Potsy Potcheck.
I think we're on. It might have been Potsy Team because my people can see it too.
No.
Yeah. Anyway.
It wouldn't let me do that.
I wouldn't let you do that.
No.
You're an ass.
No, I wanted to do that, but it wouldn't let me. I actually tried to set that up.
As always, thank you to Adam's House Cats for the wrestling song. You can check that out on iTunes for 99 cents. And as always...
Well, before that...
Don't forget, next Tuesday, we're going to be here Taboo Tuesday. We won't be here next week on Monday. We'll be here on Tuesday.
But before that...
Before that?
Amazon.
Please go on. You say that. Make sure you buy this fool's book on Amazon.
Please do.
Horrors. We're going to try to get back up to number 1. He's at number 3 now.
The very first ever dyslexia-friendly comic book. All ages. Perfect for kids and adults. And...
Support the show. Buy a t-shirt.
Buy a t-shirt.
Buy a t-shirt, yeah.
All right, Tino.
And as always, in Charlotte on that big hill.
And then you click that button right there.
Right. We hear Ric Flair, and he's saying,
"Woo!
Call me Daddy."
No, he's not saying that.
He's saying, "Woo!" Then Charlotte comes out and he goes, "Eee."
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I turned off the microphone. I think it turned us off.
It's like it was tweaking on there, like peeking.
I'm sitting here like.
Cool. It heard you say I turned off the microphone because it just said.
So it didn't turn off the microphone. No. But the microphone's not working.
I don't know, but I just read it.
Oh God, maybe it actually put that microphone. Oh God, if the whole time that microphone wasn't working and that one was, I'm gonna be pissed.